Good morning. My name is Ingrid Rones, and I am the Policy Officer in DG CNECT Unit I3. We are the unit that deal with audiovisual and media support programs. Today, I will be the moderator for this session where we look at Creative Europe and virtual worlds. This session is called Harnessing Virtual Worlds, Harnessing Innovation in Creative Europe. So, in this session, we have a keynote by Lucia Recalde, Deputy Director for the Media Directorate in DG CNECT and in charge of these support programs. Then we will have a presentation of 4 different projects that were supported on the media program. We have very interesting speakers for you today, all approaching the subject of virtual worlds from different angles. We have from Netherlands, we have from France, and we have someone from Spain. This will take about an hour, and after this hour of the presentations, we will move into a panel. So I encourage you to use Slido. We have #CreativeEurope. So everyone online, you should see this. I think it's to the left, I suppose, if you're following this online. Feel free to drop questions in, and we'll try to address these in the panel. If you're in this room, welcome physically to. It is possible to be here physically. Then you can use your phone or you can use your laptop to post questions. We have a poll that's live now in Slido, so feel free to answer the question. So, the poll question is, have you ever accessed a virtual world? And you'll see the different options. I won't go through them. So quickly about CNECT University. CNECT University has since 2015 been the knowledge-sharing flagship initiative of DG CNECT. These sessions aim to inform EU staff and people from other institutions, the industry, academia, and international organizations, and identify current opportunities and threats that is or could shape EU digital policy. If you're connecting with us online and you're on social media, you can use the hashtag @ConnectUniversity. The slides and the recording of the session will be made available next week, both on the Digital EU channel and on YouTube, as well as on the Futurium platform. The links will be added in the chat. The next CNECT University session will be on digital accessibility, so have a look at Futurium for more information about this very important topic. Without further ado, we'll get into the session, and let me introduce to you Lucia Recalde, who is, as I said, the Deputy Director for Media and in charge of these support programs. Lucia, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Ingrid. Good morning. I'm glad to be here with you today and open this CNECT University session on innovation in audiovisual creation. And today we are going to focus on a very, very exciting topic, harnessing virtual worlds through the Creative Europe program. And we have 4 really innovative and super exciting projects. So why this session? And I will be very brief, because I think you will learn it by listening to the speakers in a moment. The Commission has been supporting the audiovisual industry through the Creative Europe Media Program for already more than 30 years, actually. And actually, every year, a quarter of the films that are made in Europe receive support in one way or another through Creative Europe. But in addition to films, Creative Europe supports TV series, festivals like Berlinale, Cannes, or Venice. And even last week, when the selection for the Cannes Film Festival was announced, 4 films that are in the competition were supported through the media program. But audiovisual is more than films, is more than TV series, and is more than distribution. And in the media program, we take this holistic approach to the audiovisual ecosystem. And we think it's important to support not only those established segments of the industry, but also other emerging parts of the ecosystem that are growing incredibly fast. And the Commission also, as you probably know, President von der Leyen announced a few months ago that in her letter of intent as part of the State of the Union report, that the Commission will put forward an initiative on virtual worlds. And we are really happy to see that through Creative Europe, we are already harnessing, we are already supporting, we are already bringing innovation to make those virtual worlds a reality. So I will stop here because, as I said before, we want to make this session as interactive as possible, and I will hand over now to Ingrid and the speakers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lucia. So now on to the presentation of the 4 projects. So although these projects are funded on different parts of the Creative Europe program, we have the media strand and we have the cross-sectoral strand here today. They all tackle this issue of virtual worlds. So we have one that's looking at building, that has actually built its own business-to-business metaverse. That is Newen, so you can take the stage. Then we have one that's using an existing virtual world platform to reach new audiences. This will be at the end. There's one that we're excited about that we have funded for a number of years that has support to the whole immersive ecosystem, Immersive Tech Week. And we have a very exciting project that crosses bridges between music and video coming from Spain. So let's start with the first project. You have a bit more time, so you don't have to rush. This is Newen Studios, who are a subsidiary of TF1. They are a major player in the European audiovisual ecosystem. Newen produce and distribute genres from drama, film, animation, and documentaries, and non-scripted content. They have more than 50 creative labels and 600 people working to create and bring European content to both EU and international audiences. With us today, we have Annabelle Descudé and Margot Wilbert. They will present Newen MetaSky, this business-to-business metaverse. It is an immersive creative marketplace dedicated to European creators and producers to help them develop, finance, and promote their content. So, Annabelle has previously worked for Warner Bros. And M6, so well-versed in this industry, and is the digital distribution manager at Newen. Margot Wilbert, also previously at Warner Bros., but also from the video games industry, a very important industry when it comes to virtual worlds. Before joining Newen, she worked for Ubisoft, a major player in the EU video games ecosystem. You are now the Metaverse Project Manager, a very cool title, so over to you.
Thank you, Ingrid, and hi everyone. We are very happy to be here today, and thank you for the organization of this conference. So I just want to make a quick introduction on the Newen company, but Ingrid, your introduction was great. So we are a production company with 50 label production across 11 countries in Europe, in Sweden, Norway, Spain, Netherlands, but we are also a distribution company, so we distribute the program our in-house producers, but also we have more than 40 third-party producers. So our purpose, our aim, our job is to connect people through stories by helping European talents to finance their projects and to be able to, the production can get off the ground and travels abroad. So, and talking about travels, I propose you to take on board the Newen MetaSky and flying above the most beautiful city in Europe. There is no Bruxelles in this video, but we will correct that very soon. Pas de son.
There should be sound.
Ah, So it was supposed to be entertaining, but without song, it's quite difficult. So we maybe wonder why a zeppelin in the sky. So I'm just going to explain you the genesis of the project. The starting point of our talk process has been on the distribution side. In a disrupting market, how can we leverage on new technologies to improve the promotion, the financing of European programs, as well as access to talents? So back to the past, we were at the end of January 2022, and we called into question our way to interact with producers and talents. So between the pandemic, the geopolitical tensions, as well as environmental issues and the slow recovery of physical markets, we want to disrupt our way to make business to be more reachable, be more open, be more reconnect with our clients, with our talents in an immersive way. Not only through the team meetings, we still encounter everyday problems with Teams. I think the microphone turns off, the freezing of the camera. So it was the purpose, because our job is to sell, to bring back entertainment, because our job is to sell and promote series, movies, and documentaries. And beside, nowadays we are facing a contraction of the market. Both broadcasters and streamers need both to optimize their content spending. So at the same time, the number of projects doesn't decrease, and the competition is even more important than before, and program visibility become a burning issue. So it's key to have a tool which can help us to spotlight European programs in an immersive way. So the idea to build our one virtual world arise. We wanted to not to reinvent a business model, but to reinvent our way to make business, and by creating a marketplace, a B2B marketplace. I think that changes is not very easy, and breaking codes too. But virtual worlds creates amazing opportunities for Europe creative industry. But it's important to, when you create your one virtual world, to tell a story, a beautiful story, but also to create something that cannot happen in real life. And it's why I think you never saw a producer pitch his project in the sky, in a zeppelin. And if, please call me. And it was the idea. So at the beginning, it was only on the business side, distribution, and without the call of Creative Europe Media, this Newen Metasky will not happen, because when we start to complete the application form, we added two other pillars to our Newen Metasky. The first one was only one shot operation for distribution, and we added the creative part and also the educational part with the Newen Meta Institute for sourcing talents across Europe. So Margot, and thanks to Creative Media, we create a full job time with Margot, our lead metaverse manager. She is going to tell you a little bit more about all our operation. So please, Margot.
Thank you, Annabelle. So like Annabelle said at the very beginning, we started with salespeople who came to us with a problem, a specific problem, which was a business problem, because they wanted to be able to meet with their buyers in person, and they were not able to do that because of COVID. So the metaverse seemed like the perfect solution for that. And we carried out more than 40 meetings in the metaverse. We even generated revenue in the metaverse, but we were not thinking about going further with this project. And this is when Europe Creative Media came into the equation and helped us really bring a new dimension to the project. And this is why, because of this, we thought about different bricks that could be added to the project. So the first brick is linked to the first one. We decided to extend the business part of the metaverse to in the long run, and also to other markets. So we went to London, we went to Berlin, and this is why we are using our Zeppelin to fly all over Europe. As you can see, we are now developing a tool to change it directly, so we are able to follow the different markets throughout Europe. Another thing that we developed in the metaverse was the fact that, so with the business part of the metaverse, we were starting out with distribution, but we decided to go further back into the creative process and tackle the actual creative development of a project. So this is why we came up with the idea of Galeano's pitch, which was a pitch for a documentary which was held in the metaverse and in physical. And it was the first time, so of course it was not perfect. But we got a lot of feedback from it, and this is how we came up with the second idea, which is the Madame room idea. So this room was specifically designed for a series, and basically buyers and creative teams can immerse themselves in the universe of the series when they connect to this specific room. So it was very interesting, but because it even influenced their artistic direction. So the second thing that we learned from the Galeano speech was the fact that this tool could be a very inclusive and diverse tool, because in the metaverse, you're not focusing on looks, you're not focusing on gender, on ethnicity, you're just focusing on what people are saying and your own intuition. So this was very interesting, and this is why we use the metaverse as a tool for hiring. This is how I was hired. I had my first interview inside the metaverse, and I can tell you more about it after, but it's super interesting. We also organized team buildings and also trainings for our teams, so this is very interesting in that point. And last but not least, as Annabelle said, we developed the metaverse as an educational institute to find talents, to form them, to attract them. And I think the best example for this is the Meta Pitch contest, which was a contest which was held first round in the metaverse, second round at Series Mania for the finale. We had 3 finalists from all over Europe. We received extremely diverse projects from more than 10 different countries. So this was very interesting for us because it allowed us to reach more countries, more talents. And I think images speak better than words. So we have a short video to show you, and I hope there's gonna be sound. Is there sound? So yes, we selected 20 candidates from out of the 100 which submitted a project, and we received extremely innovative formats. We received formats which are in VR. For example, the winners are from Lithuania, and they had a very cute VR animated project. The feedback from the candidates was also very interesting because they thought that it was less stressful to pitch in the metaverse, that they had a different way of pitching, that they were also able to be part of this project, because as I said, maybe if this had only been in physical, we would not have invited people from all over Europe. So here you can see the winners pitching. We offered 20,000 euros in development support to the winner. And we are actually, in fact, working on the development of the project of the 3 finalists, actually. So we're very happy with this. And but it's not finished. We're thinking about many different other ideas to continue working on those different breaks. For example, we are thinking about doing a season 2 for the Meta Pitch. We're also thinking about creating a design room using AI and mixed reality to again, find new ways to foster creativity. We're also thinking about using the metaverse as a way to screen our catalog inside the virtual space and to highlight it in a different way. So as you can see, we have lots of ideas, lots of things going on, and all of this became true thanks to the support of Euro Creative Media. So we're very excited for carrying on those projects, and we thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you. You can stay. We have one question I think we can do for clarification, and that is, what technology is needed to access your metaverse?
It's quite simple. You need a computer, good Wi-Fi, and
Google Chrome.
Google Chrome. So it's through a website, and you don't need any virtual cask.
We decided to go for this easy technology because right now the like all the metaverse headsets are not very easily developed and adapted to all our needs. So we thought that to make people enter virtual worlds first, we needed to have something very simple.
Very good. Thank you very much. You can now
Thank
go
you.
and we can get Jaime up. So our next project is based in Spain. We have Jaime Castañosa from Melboss, who is presenting the project Videomuse. And with him, he has Ivan Corbat, who should be online with us. So based in Spain, Melboss uses AI, machine learning algorithms, and big data to strengthen the music industry and its global reach. Their aim is to help musicians use their content resources across streaming and social platforms to grasp their maximum market potential. So Jaime is the head of digital marketing at Melboss and has, for the last 13 years, worked with some of the biggest names in the music industry. We've got Sony, Universal, Warner, EMI, BMG, and he has been creating technological solutions for these. Ivan is well-versed in both cultural management and international cooperation. He has coordinated numerous projects across borders and across cultural sectors, and was previously the international advisor for the Spanish Minister of Culture. So this project, Videomuse, is designing a new NFT platform. So if you're not familiar, NFT is the non-fungible token, but I think probably everyone, if you're interested in this session, you probably know what an NFT is. So they're doing an NFT platform for video clips combined with business development, capacity building, and mentoring activities for a sample of emerging artists, Ivan and Jaime.
Well, hello. Thank you very much for inviting us. I am Jaime Castañosa. As Ingrid introduced, very pleased to be here with you all. The idea, well, our project is pretty recent. We barely started with the first steering meeting 1 month ago, but we are very ambitious in terms of how can we approach the Web3 technologies to improve the quality of life for music artists and video makers. I'm going to go through a brief introduction as well from Melboss. We are the technological catalyst for the music industry. What we do is basically provide to many music labels, as Ingrid said, Warner, Sony, Universal, with the latest technologies and marketing strategies to improve their position in the market, right? And we always try to be the spearhead of the industry, and we are all the time investigating new ways to develop those artists. Among them, we counted on strategies for Kylie Minogue, Maroon 5, Billie Eilish, and so many others that you might recognize. Among our partners, well, we work in the music industry with those major labels, also music management agencies, some associations as well. But our strength comes from joining forces with the consulting and innovation centers, and also in this case with institutions such as Creative Europe, where we are being backed by the knowledge networking and funding, which is really impressive, and we are here for the first time, and we're very proud to participate in this program. So to talk about the future, I think we have to go back to the past. We have to talk a bit of history. Well, before 1975, the radio was everything there was for the music industry. Basically, any artist that wanted to be famous or wanted to be recognized had to have its own space within the radio. Then these people, you might know, Queen, they released their first film attached to the release of Bohemian Rhapsody, and it became an absolute hit. Everyone thought, well, this famous video, you know, with all the faces, lights, and it was really a fancy way to expand the universe, the musical universe of this album. And they were the precursors of putting in images what they were trying to say in their music album. And from there, other artists like Madonna, Michael Jackson, Prince, they jumped on board and they created video clips like Thriller, Like a Virgin, and so many others, right? From there, the merge of the music and the video became a way of expression, a way of creating added value for the music and to connect with different audiences in a different way. And some might say video killed the radio star, but it is not like this. Okay, they've improved like the amount of expression they could put out there by combining both forces, and that's what this project Videomuse is all about. It's all about joining the efforts of video makers and the music industry to bring new things for the audience, to connect with them, and to build up relationships in a different way. So this made sense back then because the main medium was the TV. And as we progressed, the music industry went into the digital era. And the digital era didn't have a format like a video clip to impact in the same way video clips did. I mean, video clips, they made brands jump in, creating new revenue streams for the music artists, because all the brands wanted to have their product placed within those universes the video clips were creating. We've seen this with Adidas, we've seen this with Coca-Cola, we've seen this with many other brands. They wanted to get attached to the values of the musicians, and this ensured the artists some income to also keep moving forward with their careers, producing new assets, new formats. Now we jump into the digitalization. In 2000, the year 2000, the piracy arrived, and the music industry had to change a few things. With Napster coming in, I think it's a sensible thing to speak about here. I don't know. It's just something that happened that made the music industry change and gear things faster and forward for this model. The digitalization is ramping up and growing also due to the pandemic, like the girls from the last presentation said. The pandemic have been a thing that made many industries, especially digital industries and the Web3 technologies, go into the future at a faster pace. And this is what happened: an increase of an average of 25% year-on-year revenue growth for streaming and digital music services. The 2021 was the first year streaming services were surpassing the rest of the recorded music industry, and as the main revenue stream. And for the first time since the piracy arrived, the total revenue of the recorded music was over what they had back in 2001. So what are the alternatives? This digital world seems really democratic, but the reality is only 0.08 music artists generate more than $10,000 or euros per year in the world. 0.08 out of 11 million artists, which are right now on Spotify. Most of them obviously backed by music labels, agencies, and so on. So there's not many revenue streams for emerging artists. And that's what we want to tackle with this project. Apart from that, most of those artists that have over 10,000 euro revenue per year, only 35% they think they have control of their creative assets when they put it out there in their marketing strategies. So this is our landscape. This is what we want to address with Videomuse. Basically, we want to create a new format, as Quinn did with the video clip. We want to establish this new format that we already know. We're not inventing NFTs, but we want to establish it and configure it for the music industry by first creating a European solution with the quality, the income sharing, or income distribution and accessibility in mind, creating value and enforcing or helping some cross collaboration between music and media. The NFT marketplace is based on joining as I said before, joining the forces of the musicians, the video makers. They will create pieces. They will create the rules of the sale, and then with these ideas of new relationship with the artist, they will move this NFT to the marketplace where we can pour in some funds and make them go like buy the NFTs. Just to clarify, the NFTs right now for music artists are really important. When I talk about NFTs, people think about the speculative part of it, but there is a big utility. For example, when someone buys an NFT from an artist, I can, as an artist, grant this person access to all my concerts for life. And that's attached to the NFT that they bought. Or they can have exclusive access to my personal content that I only offer for like my hardcore fans. And that is what we want to provide. We want to provide this universe of utility around the NFTs. We want to put them in the NFT marketplace. And we want to set it up for the music industry specifically, because we think other media, like graphic designers, they have many other options out there. And the music industry is kind of like in the backseat of this new revolution, and we want to place where it should be. Now I give the word to Ivan. I don't know if we can hear him.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Yes. Yeah, I guess so. Okay. So thank you very much, Jaime, for your introduction, and thank you to the Commission for inviting us. Just to kind of finalize, I know the session is to be quite short or shorter. As Jaime said, we are just starting with this project. It has been selected at the end of last year by Innovation Lab of Creative Europe. So we've had the kickoff meeting last month with the different partners that include different kind of knowledge. We've got, of course, Melboss as a key partner, which as a technological startup linked to the music industry, but yeah, it's okay? You hear me, yeah? Right. But we also count on some strategic partners that will bring knowledge and test the platform. While the platform will be developed by Melboss team, we've got partners who will bring audiovisual NFTs that will be created and tested on the platform and discussed on the platform. We don't know their format yet. We are still developing them. We mention them as kind of video clips or spin-off from video clips or derived products from of any kind of artistic creations. What is important is the cross collaboration between the musicians and the audiovisual sector, which is very important for our project, and makes a bit of different aspect on the business model as well, in the sense that it's not a major company who is hiring a movie director to produce video, but it's a musician together with a creator from the audiovisual world, either digital or traditional audiovisual world, who are going to create quality NFTs and share revenues on them. And it's, I think it is, it was in the previous probably, sorry, I was hearing some noise. In the previous slide, we were mentioning that an important part of the, thank you, an important part of the work will be, of course, to make some parallel research to make sure that this new platform built from Europe, and it's very important for us because all the NFT market, or I mean, 95% of the NFT market so far are developed from the US or from Asia, mostly from Japan or Korea, South Korea. So it's a new platform to be built and promoted from Europe, where we, of course, will have to analyze very carefully the business plan and the sustainability of the platform and the revenues and legal aspects for all participating actors, artists, creators, and so on. I don't want to be much longer. I just wanted to finalize, because I think it was one of the questions that were asked to answer, the importance of this kind of funding, of working in Innovation Lab from Creative Europe for this project. It's of course the key issue for us. It would have been impossible without this funding to develop such kind of project for several reasons. Not only for the cost and time investment to develop it, but it motivated and it promoted this motivation to cross-collaborate between music and audiovisual sector, first of all, as far as motivation, and then as a laboratory project and innovation project, it allows us to test this and research the market without having a too high risk according to the size of the partners and institutions, because otherwise SMEs like we are wouldn't be able to afford this kind of quite large-scale project, and these could be promoted only by larger companies from, for example, the telecom industry, which hopefully might be interested in such kind of platform in the future, but so far we prefer to work at a closer level to the artists and creators. And I don't want to be longer. I know you've got long sessions and other interventions. Thank you very much, and have a very nice and productive day.
Thank you, Anne. And yep, thank you all. That's it.
Thank you, Jaime and Ivan. I don't think we'll get any questions for clarification. I think it's all clear. Very interesting how music has enriched video, not necessarily killed it, as you said. So we can do our next project now. This is Immersive Tech Week. So some of you might be familiar with Immersive Tech Week under its previous name, VR Days. They are based in the Netherlands. They've been in Amsterdam, now in Rotterdam, and they are organized by the VR Days Foundation. So that is the link. This is a business-to-business hybrid event focused solely on XR content, and it covers markets, showcases, and knowledge sharing and networking. It's a marketplace and a festival that follows and stimulates the development of immersive technologies in business, science, and the arts. And if you're into anything immersive, then this is the place to be if you're in Europe. So we have Benjamin de Wit, who previously comes from a background in theater and in digital media, and he is the founder and director. As I said, this is an important gathering point for the EU immersive ecosystem. It relates to virtual world in that it supports the whole of the ecosystem that deals with some of these issues. Benjamin, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasant to be here this morning. We founded the VR Days Foundation in 2015 to explore immersive technologies and virtual worlds, because we were so inspired back then by the opportunities these technologies offer to impact society in a positive way, and wanted to explore how it will impact storytelling, the way we live and tell stories. And from the get-go, we thought this should be an event that not only covers the creative, but also looks at business, science, art, education, healthcare, music, to have a holistic approach. And with this holistic approach, we look at different backgrounds, people from different areas, people from different sectors. We want to look at projects from conception to completion. And we look at the societal impacts these technology have today and in the future. Because what we're doing today is actually for the people in the future. And we recognize today that virtual worlds accessible by XR technologies are entering a new phase, powered by new technologies like artificial intelligence, blockchain, 5G, 6G, brain-computer interfaces. And we believe that in this age of technological integration, it's very important that we also address policy making, the development of sustainable business models, ethical guidelines, to make sure that we are there for the responsible innovation of technology. And so that leads to our vision, is that we want to create a launchpad for creators of our future worlds. And that launchpad is developed to Immersive Tech Week. In 2015, we started with Dutch VR Days. It was supposed to be a one-off event. And then we sold out. There were people from 10 different countries coming to the Dutch VR Days. So immediately we transitioned from Dutch VR Days to VR Days Europe. And between 2015 and 2019, we developed, say, our holistic approach to the event with all the different building blocks. From 2017 onwards, we got funding from Creative Europe. And in 2019, after 5 years, we had over 2,000 attendees, professionals from 60 different countries, and we were ready to take on the future. And then COVID happened. And during the COVID times, never waste a good crisis, we developed a sort of quadruple helix program structure, where we work with government, industry, academics, and our community. And during the pandemic, when we were in survival mode, reinventing ourselves and reinventing to Immersive Tech Week, the technology took a big leap. So when we had to come back, we had to come back big. And we were able to secure a 2-year funding from Creative Europe, a deal with the city of Rotterdam, an amazing venue, the Doelen. And in 2022, we came back and we had, well, 5,500 attendees, more than ever. Over 200 speakers. And so the event, as you see it here, we have 3 main pillars. That's the funding market, where we support projects. We have our trade show, where we showcase about 100 companies. And we have the conferences. The conferences, which are about 200, 250 speakers, covering all these topics. Furthermore, We have our workshops and roundtables, the Church of VR, where we showcase the best creative content. We have an XR and performance night where we mix performing arts and XR technology. We have a hackathon with about 100 students. We have the Citizens Think Tank in collaboration with the Rathenau Institute. And this is where we go in conversation with professionals and citizens to see what does this technology mean for them now and in the future, so we can report back to policymakers and platform developers. We have our Creators Lab, where we talk more about the technical stuff. We have our, the Creators Lab, which is an artist in residence. We have a policy track, of course, lots of networking opportunities, VR awards, and since last year also a playground, an open and accessible part for the general audience. So apart from the B2B aspect, we now have one element because we think it's important to showcase what these technologies mean for everyone out there. So actually what we do, and this is our mission, is we unite the community. We inspire creative minds, and creative minds are everywhere, not only in the artistical field. We have creative minds in healthcare and education, everywhere, and we drive responsible innovation forward. This is our mission. So the building blocks, on the one hand, we go across industries, we grow across tech, and we look at the societal impacts of the technology. So what does it mean for diversity, equity, and inclusion? How do we deal with ethical issues? What about data, data privacy on different levels, and sustainability? So why did we arrive here in Brussels at Creative Europe? An event like this is not feasible without some form of public funding. We cannot do it all on private funding. It is about 40% in public, 60% private. But there is no fund for a cross-sectoral event with a holistic approach. There's no door where you can knock on. We couldn't find any serious funding in the Netherlands, and still not to this date. But in Creative Europe, we found a partner that, with a shared vision, that has a broad and open mind. And we were scared in the beginning when we got our first funding. Are we AV enough? We're not purely cinema or television. What if they realize that we do all these other things? How do we report? But after these years, it's so great to find a partner that has this open, cross-sectoral approach, even though the start was film and cinema. But what we're doing is AV. It is audiovisual. It is a new era. Now, if we talk about the industry challenge, well, there's not really one industry challenge. We have a lot of them. What we see is we see more industry adoption of XR. We see more sectors involved. We see more vertical integration, more networks, more associations, more universities, labs that are running with these technologies, more use cases, more money from big tech companies, less money from big tech companies, more data being tracked, more primary and secondary schools, more vocational training, more talent needed, more skills talents need to have, more skills teachers need to have, more data that's being collected, more dependency on hardware from outside of Europe, more interdisciplinary collaborations, more work that needs alternative distribution models, more institutional funds, more tech integration, more NFTs, Web3, blockchain, more, a lot of more. But if we then try to focus a little bit, okay, what are the main European challenges? I think becoming autonomous on a technical level is a big challenge. How do we become less dependent on hardware and software from China, Asia, and the United States? Distribution, it's so hard in this XR environment. It's very practical, it's very difficult. This distribution is so sectorially organized. So how do we cross-sector, go cross-sector with distribution models? Data protection. Europe does a great job with GDPR, but In the headsets, your eyes get tracked. Where you look, your iris gets scanned, your skin gets tracked, your blood temperature. Where does this data go? And how can people in education trust, use these technologies if they don't know what's happening to the data? And standardization is also a very big topic. No standards, hardly any standards, so pipelines, production pipelines, very difficult. But there's also some wonderful opportunities. We have such a wonderful, creative talent in Europe, such a beautiful mosaic of creative talent, so diverse. We see new investment schemes of the European Commission. We see popping up everywhere, cross-disciplinary educational environments, so opening up mindsets. We see great competing European hardware and software from companies like Vario, Lynx, VRgineers, SenseGlove. And we see a steady adaptation of XR across sectors, healthcare, education, industry. It's not always visible for everyone, but it's happening, and it's happening slowly and steady, and it's accelerating. So there are some wonderful opportunities, and I'm happy we're taking them. And there's one opportunity there as well, and that's Immersive Tech Week. Because we in Europe, we have something that no one in the world has. No one does what we do. No one brings all these people together. So that's also a wonderful opportunity. Because what we do, the solution, well, what do we bring? We bring connection in a fragmented world. We're facilitating cross-sectoral collaborations, and we make virtual worlds accessible and tangible. And this year, 2022-2023, we have secured the funding. This will end of this year. 2024 is a new year. This year will be our 9th edition, so next year will be number 10, where we will look back on what happened in the past 10 years in our industry and look ahead what's happening in the next 10 years. And we will present a roadmap to a human-centric metaverse or virtual worlds. So that's our goal for 2024. But the real ambition is that we, with Immersive Tech Week, we want to become the world's leading event for the responsible development of immersive technologies. We want to be the Mobile World Congress of immersive technologies. And we want to do that here, located in Europe. And you can join, so feel free to reach out. We're working on a policy track, so please talk to us. You can organize your own session in our event. You can showcase content. If you develop content, reach out to us. You can just get a pass and get inspired. But most of all, just share your ideas. We're here to collaborate. This is my email and my telephone number. So join us. Thank you. Thank you very kindly.
Thank you very much, Benjamin, for a very engaging talk on Immersive Tech Week. We have one question for you. We will try and keep it short, but is the demand clear, was one question. So I assume by this, the person who has posted this, you mean the demand for XR and for hardware, I suppose?
Well, there is a clear demand popping up everywhere. If you look at what's happening, for instance, in universities, there's no university in the Netherlands and probably across Europe that's not working with these technologies. And so there's a clear demand. So you see it also with a lot of creators that are just looking into this. And it started with cinema. It's now going more and more into the performing arts field. And yes, so I see a growing demand. I see the growing demand also in the numbers of our visitors.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Benjamin.
You're welcome.
And for those of you who are online and asking questions, there is a little bit of a delay, which means that we won't be able to deal with all of them. But if you do have specific questions for the projects, feel free to either email me, Ingrid Rones, or CNECT University, and we can put you in touch also with some of the projects. So our next project is from Unifrance. We have Daniela. You can take the stand. So Unifrance is the organization responsible for promoting French film and TV content worldwide. They have around 50 staff members spread across France, the US, China, and Japan. They bring together over 1,000 professionals in French cinema and television from sectors across the value chain, from artists to sales agents. So this project, MetaStories, is very exciting. It's a cinema experience situated in the existing virtual world of Minecraft. So it's a way to reach new audiences for Unifrance, to gain engagements for French content. Daniela Elsner is our speaker today. She is the executive manager at Unifrance. She has worked both with some of the biggest names in the industry from the production and from the distribution side, so she knows the industry well. Since 2015, she has also been the president for the French Film Exporters Association, where she has helped facilitate a system of loans for sales companies and the Film Export Support Fund. Daniela, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello to everyone, and thank you to all of you speakers for these inspiring presentations. I was really impressed by the cross-sectoral approach that Benjamin, you just told us, because I think this is something we all aim in a way to actually, and we see it throughout the different projects. And I really must and would like to thank also Creative Europe, because this is so inspiring. And I think without you, we couldn't have the chance and the luck to be here and to think further and to think differently and to take these opportunities that the future actually is giving us, maybe in an experimental way, but at least we can try out. And I can assure you, we presented our project. I'm going to talk about it right away, but we presented this project in South by Southwest in the US, and we had a full room, and people, especially the Americans, I think they are really amazed to what extent we can, thanks to Creative Europe, explore things that they want to explore, but they have much more struggles also to get the financing behind it. And I think this is really so important. And voila, that's why we are here today. So thank you. Ingrid, you really explained Unifrance very well, probably better than I would do. So we are back to basics. We are promoting cinema and TV. That's where Benjamin just said he started, but we are really right in the middle of it. So you might ask, Unifrance, you see our logo here, all the accents of creativity. We are really promoting French cinema and also TV content worldwide. So we go international. We have artists, producers, distributors, sales agents, all are members of our association. And so you might ask yourself, what this Unifrance is thinking, doing with a more European project and going into metaverse. So, and actually, I get these questions every day. Like, why? What are we going to do? Why are we going to do it? What is it exactly? It's not so easy because, as we see, metaverse is also in. I think each individual has a specific thinking of what metaverse is. So some are really scared of it. Some think it's great, but no one really knows how to touch and how to imagine it. So we started with really basics, like. Actually, how could we use the metaverse to actually go out and maybe tell people about cinema, get a younger generation interested, and maybe use these tools, such as Newen Connect is doing it, use these tools to reach out. And that's really our first goal. So brainstorming, thinking, we talked with NFT people, with Bitcoins people. I mean, we really tried to discuss a lot, and what came out of it, that we have at Unifrance a great experience on doing an online festival, which is called My French Film Festival. So it's a 1 month running festival online since 13 years. We get over 14 million views all over the world. We work with platforms in pretty much every country. We show short films and feature-length films. So we took this idea and said, okay, first of all, we have the technology to do it, so we might be able to do it European. So we take a European festival online, we take feature-length films, short films, and we show them to the world. So this was the first step. But then our idea was how to go into the metaverse. So that's when we thought, well, metaverse is somehow maybe a little bit too large and too difficult to create something in it. So we thought of going, inspired a little bit, I must admit, by Fortnite and their experiences on showing short films through in the Fortnite game. We thought maybe we should go and see more within the gaming world. And I know I took a personal experience. My son, who plays Minecraft. Minecraft, maybe you know or not, is a construction game. It's played by a huge community. It's one of the biggest games played around the world. So it's a huge community. It's actually construction and game. And it's also quite a female game. So we have more women than in maybe some other video games. So, well, the idea was, when I look at my son creating his city and I don't know, like having, he has animals there and things. So I said, well, we create a cinema there. Why don't we think of doing something that they might not think of their own? Because I think in the city of my son, probably there was no cinema. So I said, well, let's create a European cinema. And so the idea is we have our online festival with the different platforms, and during a couple of days, because you can't go too long, 4 days, we will have a European cinema in Minecraft. So actually, yes, we are addressing the Minecraft players. They're young. They start at the age of 8, but they're also 35. So we have like a huge panel of different players. So we're going to make this cinema a nice place. There will be a space before. We will have like some small games, which we, of course, will address around questions, probably cinema, TV, but it can. We are still inventing them. I must say, maybe I didn't say that, but our first edition will be in October this year, so we're still creating it. They will be able to play some games and then together go to watch a film. So how can we bring them there? We will work with, of course, Twitch, Discord, etc., all these social media who really are very strong in the gaming world. But we also do identify, and that's very important, gamers and influencers who will bring us their community. And actually, we already started to reach out, of course, French-speaking, English-speaking, Spanish-speaking. Remember, we are throughout the world. So we reach out to them, and they are really very excited because it's something new. It will be the first cinema in this gaming world, maybe orientated like this, with a very strong input also on editorial line. And so we will take them there and well, first experience the games before and then go to watch a film. So how do we, the difficulty is, of course, how can we watch a film there? Because it's not so easy. The streaming and the gaming world is not such a world that combines easily. So we will bring them really into a theater, and it will be a theater experience. That means that they're going to watch a film. They have to be somehow 5 to 10 minutes sitting there watching it. There will be no interactivity. That was quite important for us also towards our directors and artists, because I think this is still something we can ask a young generation. But then they can exchange. We will have Q&A sessions. Either, I don't know if you're familiar with Minecraft, you can talk by chat, but there's also voice possibilities, so they can talk. And then, of course, they will be able to play around again. They will win a lot. We hope that we can get them, because that's also the experimental of the whole thing. We will give them the awards, can be cinema tickets in their countries, because that's also the idea. Maybe they get out of their virtual gaming world and go actually back to see a film in a theater. And of course, they can win passes to come to see the other films on the different platforms in their countries. So it's experimental. We have a lot of challenges, because I think that's also something we wanted to address this morning. We will have, I mean, of course, the technical challenges, because it's not so easy, as I said, to have the streaming possibilities within a gaming environment. It's a challenge also with right holders. I think that's something we are discussing right now because it's new rights, it's different rights also, it's a different world. So we are discussing with our different right holders how to address this, and I hope also that this will actually, and that's one I think of the good assets of this project, it will also bring new business model into, well, first an experimental level, but then hopefully maybe in the future it will be something that short film salespeople, producers will actually integrate, because it's a new world and maybe a new possibility also to bring out the films. And of course, we saw it quite a lot through all the different presentation. Data, I mean, we will work with these data, but it's also very important, I think, this connection we want to have with the gamer influencers, because I think that's also something I think as a pure agency for promotion of cinema and TV content, we are of course facing a big question. How can we promote tomorrow? Who are our best friends? And we have the international press, of course, we are working with, but I think influencers, gamers, it seems easy. It's not so easy because they are so much, let's say they have so many offers from brands, etc. So how can we bring some more cultural content to them and actually make them getting interested in something different? And for us, that's also a very big challenge, and I think something we hope to, of course, share after with all of you, with Creative Europe, so that we might build something up on a new community and also on a different way of making promotion for our films. And well, we have our first edition in 2023, though, in October. It will be, I think, a challenging first edition. Our cinema is about to be constructed. I think the very good thing is that everyone kept on telling us, well, the video gaming world is not really talking and working with the cinema world, but the more we look into Minecraft especially, but also into other gamings, I mean, we all know the visual impact of video games is huge, and actually this visual, the way the conception of video games and the way they tell the stories is very cinematographic. So actually, I really do hope that if we try to get into the world of this young generation of video gamers, we can somehow attract them, not by telling them something different from a different world, but actually trying to tell them, well, what you are doing the whole day, what you are looking at the whole day, it's actually, you can also look at it in a cinema, maybe in a different storytelling way. And in that way, somehow opening up their minds and getting them maybe sometimes out of their home and in front of their computer or other devices and going back to cinema. Because, well, I mean, that's back to our basics. We think films belong there. And so that's one of our biggest challenge, maybe, that we can bring this young generation a little bit back to our theaters. But thank you. I hope I stayed. Yes.
We're now going to go over to the panel discussion. So let me just check the Slido, see if there's any burning questions for you, Daniela. I don't see anyone. Let's see. Okay, one question to start with. Maybe we can pass the question to Daniela. So one clarification question from this presentation. Are you working only with fiction or also animation shorts?
Oh, no, we will have animation shorts, maybe even documentaries. We are doing the selection right now. We will have 14 short films in the Minecraft session, and we really try to be, well, we will go into the universe of these young gamers as much as possible, but I think we will also try to have like some more edgy short films that might surprise them. That's the idea.
Perfect. And you can keep the microphone, because I have, to start the panel, I think we had a Slido and the results disappeared, but if I remember correctly, there were more people who have been on Teams than there were who have been in VR chat. So that's the audience that we're dealing with at the moment. Daniela and also Margot, I have a question for you to start off. I want to set up my own virtual world. Where do I start?
Well, I think I tried to explain that in in my speech. I think you have to start, if you're not coming from this universe, and as we at Unifrance do, you really have to start to brainstorm and to discuss a lot. And I think that's also the good thing about these projects, that it gets you out of your traditional way of thinking, and you are confronted to other universes in a way, and to this metaverse. But we had really a lot of discussion also with NFT, with companies dealing with NFT, with the Bitcoins. I mean, I did a phone call to the CNC, which is our institution that gives us the money. I said, if we go into something with Bitcoins, is this going to work with an institutional accounting system? And then the clear answer was no way. So that's also something we learned. But I think the more you talk and the more you discuss, then the projects are shaping, and then you actually discover that there are already, and you've seen it with Benjamin's project. I mean, there are a lot of projects already going on, and then you can just work around also, and then, well, it's like meeting people, but that's a good thing. No, we're still in a real world somehow, and we're facing people. Maybe we can meet them in the metaverse, but there are still people, not only AI, but also real people thinking about the future world, and I think that's important.
Perfect. Thank you. Do you want to respond to that, Margot?
Thank you. Yeah, I think like every project, you have to focus on the 5 W questions. So what is the problem I want to solve? Why would the metaverse be the answer to that problem? What is the added value of the metaverse? Who is my audience? Because, for example, for us, we discovered that we really wanted to have a platform which was adapted for B2B. And you have a lot of metaverses which are more B2C. So I think this is very important to like check which audience is really adapted to you and have the appropriate world built according to that. And finally, I think an important point also is something that Annabelle talked about, the fact that you're creating a world, a universe, so you have to tell a story, you have to, for example, our story was the Zeppelin story, like we are flying over Europe, we are coming to different festivals, and this is, I think, important whenever you want to create a believable world.
Very interesting. And touching on, what Daniela said about crypto and about all these concepts, Benjamin, I have a question for you. So we're talking about all of these interconnected concepts, and we have extended reality, we have crypto, we have blockchain. We all know how important AI is for content generation and what has happened there with DALL-E, Midjourney, etc. And we have NFTs, of course, as well. So Benjamin, could you give us a little breakdown? What do all of these terms, what's the difference between the metaverse and XR, for example? How does it all fit together?
Well, metaverse, virtual worlds, it's very much still a concept. It's an idea. It does. So if we start with virtual reality, I think most people know it's in the casket, and it's like you enter a spatial digital closed off environment. And I think and then the augmented reality is where you still see the real world and see digital layers in there. And I think what the term metaverse just opens it up and shows us that it's a social space. It's like an environment where we will also meet other people, and it's not just a singular closed-off experience. And then you have all these other technologies like artificial intelligence, blockchain, NFTs, that are building blocks of this metaverse. And it doesn't have to be only in a casket. It can be in a computer. It can be with projections. It's haptic technologies that makes you experience the virtual like it's almost real. And we always know it's not real. It's just an addition to our reality. And we will still keep meeting in real life, of course, because it's important. But so all these technologies are building blocks of metaverse, and what that metaverse in the end will be is, we don't know, but we do know it will be, there is a spatial environment where we interact with digital assets, and that's sort of the breakthrough. That's the big difference from the screen and the 2D screen where you cut fast and you interact with a keyboard.
Thank you. And maybe, Jaime, is there anything you want to add there on NFTs and the importance of NFTs in this ecosystem?
Yeah, about the utility they can bring, it's really important to establish relationship with these particular assets and the person who buys it and what it implies for them. Not only just the collection of a graphic design or an animation. It's really important to understand how this could be a key for a different world or different aspects of how you engage with the artist or with the person that is bringing these NFT collections. Or that's what I think it's really important to understand. And also, like in the past few years, there has been a rampant speculation around NFTs and how those the perceived value of NFTs have been like kind of shaky, but there is a million things through the blockchain that can be added as an important part of the transaction of the NFT.
Yeah, this is what's so exciting to me as well, how there are all these building blocks coming together. And I think, Benjamin, you said it, one of my favorite statistics at the moment is that 74% of Gen Z have bought digital items for their avatars, but that doesn't mean that they don't buy real clothes. Yes. So I think you have to see it in context. Margot, I have a question for you, and you touched on it a little bit, but one of the challenges that you have when you create a virtual space, we've seen kind of some confusion sometimes about metaverses, and you build up a virtual space and you think, hey, people are going to show, a bit like, well, I'm not going to mention names actually, but there have been things in the past where that has happened. So how, when you create a metaverse, because you're starting from scratch and you are doing it in something that exists with users, how do you make sure it's relevant? You said something about stories, but how do you continue to create engagement and get people to actually show up on that virtual space?
Yeah, I think it's important to first keep up to date with the market and with the new technologies and keep an open mind and not think that what we've done so far is it's gone, it's done, it's finished. We have to add more breaks, to add more ideas, and this is why I talked about the fact that we want to create a design room using AI, using mixed reality. We're trying to bring those breaks, like you said, into our metaverse. And I think another thing also that we're able to do thanks to our metaverse is to experiment things. We are able to create smaller events and to get feedbacks from different types of profiles, from buyers, from producers, from artists, and all of this helps us create different versions of our events, improvements, and this is how we came from the Galliano project to Madame project to MetaPitch, and this is how we're keeping on with our different projects.
Thank you. Maybe, Daniela, is there anything you want to add to that? How to keep it relevant when it's a different type of platform?
Well, as you said, we are going into a game that has already, of course, a lot of gamers. But then our real goal is, as I said, to work with influencers and also to make it attractive enough. I think the thing is also we really have to get these smaller games where we're offering to them attractive enough that they want to try. And then, of course, the films. I mean, at the other end, we are still a festival, so we have to be selective in a way. And then the idea is also, it's quite complicated. That's what we have seen with our festival online, which is running for 1 month, so since 13 years. But it's just 1 month. And I think in the metaverse, in the virtual world, people, they want to connect whenever they want, and then they want to have some new input. And it's it does not really go with a festival within a few days or few weeks. So we have to think how we can somehow not frustrate a community that we might tease over a couple of days and then disappear. That would be a disaster. So that's something we have to think of, how we can actually make our cinema live throughout maybe the year without, of course, every day inventing something new.
If I may add something, the creative development of the XR space is a big challenge because the 3D space is huge. You have everywhere, you have all around. It's so much different from the flat screen. And so there are a lot of challenges in creating new creative concepts for the 3D space, for the spatial environment. And I think it will also take maybe another generation to really grasp it and to really be able to work with the whole production pipeline effortlessly, which is now still a disaster for creators to make something in VR or AR. It's really difficult, but with the new technologies and with new generations, they will be getting into the space with a more open mind. And so the creative development, it goes slowly and sometimes a bit frustrating slowly, but it is developing, and it's just a big space.
Maybe with that leads me to a question from the audience. So if you're joining us online, I think we had about 100 people online. So please feel free to drop questions in the Slido at Creative Europe. We'll try and address them. If you don't want to drop a question, at least try and like some of the ones that you like, because that will make it easier to ask some. But then touching on what you were saying, Benjamin, we have a question. How can LLM, large language models, based AI be integrated into the metaverse? It's a bit of a technical question. Is there anyone, Jaime, I'm looking at you with a technical background. Anyone who wants to grab that one?
Oh, sorry. How can large language models be integrated?
Large language model based AI. So everything that we're seeing, ChatGPT, the sort of revolution, if you will, that we're going through now, how will that affect the metaverse?
Well, I think probably in different ways it is being applied. But say take an educational approach where you are in a visual 3D environment, and the language model could help you as a sort of a guider during your task, what you're doing, and you're speaking out loud, and you're getting responses from your teacher. That's something at the Tilburg University, Max Lauwersen, an AI man working in the educational field in the XR space, is really working on, saying there is so much potential in this 3D spatial learning environment with an AI that is helping you as your guide. So, for instance, that's could be a great example.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's Jaime, you want to respond to that as well?
Yeah. So basically, AI is machines doing things that we haven't programmed them for, basically, right? So they learn, they create by their own. That's artificial intelligence. With large language models, what we are provoking is these machines now gather feedback from the humans. So they now understand what do we like, what we don't like, and for them, it's understanding what is a mistake or an error. I think for the metaverse, they will be able to create worlds through prompts, through ideas of any one of us, and any stage of this world, any block can be created by just like an immediate prompt and a response to that. And that's what's really interesting, because they will. They of course learn from us, and this feedback retribution to create a new space, to create a new universe is really fascinating, and I think it's going to impact sooner rather than later to most of the environments created in the metaverse.
Thank you. Yes,
absolutely. Yeah, and also I think in terms of creativity, it's super interesting because, for example, when we developed the Madame Room, we had to like build something from thinking rooms, and we had to like have teams working on the building of this world. But if we had an AI which could help us create those rooms in seconds and out of just writing what we want to do, we could have more rooms and have more ways of disrupting the way we pitch content. So in terms of creativity, I think it could be very interesting as well.
Thank you. And it's interesting with what's happening with text to image, and how text to image is quite good at the moment. We've seen the Pope, we've seen the Trump arrest, and then it doesn't deal so well with video at the moment. Like if you saw Will Smith eating spaghetti, for example. Yeah. So we're starting. There are these places, these milestones that we're reaching. Daniela.
I think I mean, AI, and we are also thinking a lot about subtitling because, like, for instance, our short films will be subtitled in a lot of languages. Of course, this is going to be a huge help. And as you said, I mean, we need these machines to make our life easier. But I still think that's also a little bit behind our idea of bringing this other universe of a different creative way and creative expression and artistic expression that is still human and is probably also maybe not critics, but it's at least a different critical thinking that we want to bring also to these young audiences, not only what you definitely want to see, but maybe also what you might see and make you think different and still, in a way, educate differently. And I think this is really something we want to be aware of and not depending necessarily on algorithms that tell us what we want to see, because we have enough great people doing that and great AI things to do that. But that's also, for me, it's very important, this kind of educational maybe and critical thinking that we want to implement with our project.
Thank you, and we can stay with you, Daniela. I have a question about we've talked a bit about it. There's, we have music, we have video games, we have films, XR. So we're seeing this IP, moving across formats. That goes from comic books to games, film, series, and we're seeing so much migration of intellectual property. So because your project works across discipline with cinema and with games, where do you see this going? Where do you see this convergence of IP in content generation? Where do you see that going?
Well, France is a country of IP and origin of IP and protecting IP. And our project is actually not questioning the question of IP, because we bring short films definitely with a very clear IP belonging to others, directors, and so we don't question this point. I was reflecting when I saw when your question is pushing us, of course, to a new. There will be there is already a different idea of IP, actually not. Which is not the French way of going into IP, but of course it's going to change, and we have to confront that. But I also as a French institution, I think the way we are protecting our creators is very important, especially relatively to what I said just before. I think we have to go slowly into this new process, and we really have to reflect on the consequences if we change and if we open these IP questions too quickly. For me, that's quite important on the thinking.
Thank you. And Jaime, anything you want to add there, especially considering with the link between music and video that you're seeing?
In terms of copyright, for example, or rights or royalties for the music industry is absolutely relevant, because artists can get funds to start up their careers by just giving away through the NFTs some of the royalties, and those royalties will grow as the value of the NFT is increasing, and they're perceiving funds every time there is a trade. So it's a really nice way to have more control over what they're producing and what the music they're distributing. So it's a cool alternative way to kick off things for a music artist.
And just picking up on a question that we had via the Slido earlier during your talk, is your project working with collection societies at all? Because that has been both a challenge with the rights, but also in terms of the administrative part of collecting rights for music artists can be quite hard.
So far, we cannot we haven't established this, because as I said at the beginning of the presentation, that the project is we started recently. We have to set up many ideas, so it's something we definitely will have in consideration, but we haven't decided yet.
Okay, thank you. Margot, anything you want to add on this?
Yeah, I think right now what we see is that the challenge is going to be, of course, copyright, because you're bringing a new dimension to your creation. You're bringing the virtual part. So I think this also brings another challenge, which is the challenge of virtual identity, because you're bringing this into the whole creative process. And right now, for example, we don't really know if an avatar is a personal data, for example. So all those things are coming into the equation and making it more and more difficult, but also more and more interesting, I think.
Perfect. And I do have a clarification question from earlier for your project as well. And that is, are the awards given to projects in physical currency or in digital, example, bitcoins?
We actually thought about going digital, but the project, honestly, we started in January and the series mania was in March. So it was super, like, we had to prepare it quickly. And I think that maybe for the next season, we're probably going to do something like probably mixed and have something in our metaverse as well for the winners.
Okay, thank you. So I have a we're coming towards the end of this session. I don't see a lot of questions in the chat that are relevant for the panel. Again, if you do have any specific questions for these projects, feel free to drop us an email. That's the CNECT University email that you can email, and they can put us in touch with me, who will put it in touch with you. So as a closing question, it's been 16 years since the first iPhone was released. So it would be a teenager now, almost able to vote, which makes some of us feel a bit old. And it's been about half of that, so 7 or 8 years since the majority of worldwide internet traffic came through mobile phones. So what do you think is in store for the future? Is it when or if will, for example, augmented reality glasses be our main contact point for the internet? And what kind of content will we access through it? And we can also, I saw there was another question in the Slido, what are your biggest fears, especially related to AI? So will the main access point be AR glasses, and what kind of content will we access through it? Do you want to start?
Sure. I think what we're seeing now is, of course, the coming of mixed reality headsets, and it's coming super fast. I think Apple's glasses are coming very soon. So I think we're probably going to see, like AI, a lot of changes in an exponential way. It's going to accelerate. But I'm probably sure that in future we're gonna experience content through mixed reality glasses, but probably different content that we are experiencing today. And I don't think, on the other hand, that it's going to kill the traditional way of watching content, for example, movie theater. And I think the best comparison could be made with the time when TV decided to broadcast football games, because the Football Federation was very afraid that it would bring people away from the stadiums, but in fact, on the contrary, it brought people back to the stadiums. So I think it's going to be a different way of experiencing content, probably a different type of content, but I don't think anything is going to disappear in the end. It's going to develop in different areas.
Thank you. Jaime, do you want to?
Yeah. I think there was an article. I don't remember the newspaper, but it was about it was a teacher from the University of Amsterdam talking about how are we going to access internet when the AI will develop enough, and it is supposed to be disappearing. Like it is going to be completely eclipsed by the AI, and how the AI will bring the information to us, and we're not going to be proactive to go on, like, surf the web and find the information, which can be dangerous, because I think, like, what I'm more scared about is how the information will be managed, and which are the institutions or companies or whatever, which ones have the power of this AI. So I think that's what is going to shape the near future, like the kind of regulation and the way we're going to regulate that. I don't think it's going to change the way we consume media, because we like to watch videos and listen to music. There will be more things added to that, like 3D experiences, virtual reality, augmented reality. But I don't know, like if I have to think of a device, I would say like lenses probably should be like the future. It's kind of what I think of, but in the like 10 years from now, they will start to come up with this kind of technology.
Yeah, I think I would also venture in that field, mixed reality lenses, but also we will still keep listening to music over beautiful speakers and go to a movie theater, I think, because that's also a beautiful communal experience. What I fear most is when I think of my children who are now 7 and 3 and that they will venture and have in digital worlds and digital environments, and will I be able to communicate with them about it, or will I be able to follow them, or will it be well regulated? Will they be in a safe space there? And who's getting all their data, or who can access them? And so I have some fears in that field. So I hope that well, regulators will pick up on this and make sure that we have and our children have a safe digital environment.
Yeah, I think we care how we're going to watch it or get the information. Maybe it's a virtual screen, a lens, or whatever. But who cares? I think that it will come up anyway. But the tricky thing is how we can get out of isolation and discussion, and not only virtual. And I mean, we're doing exactly the contrary on all our projects, but because we invite people actually to discuss within the virtual space with each other. But I think for me, there's a threat on our democracies clearly with the content not being, in a way, coming to you, as you said, and not being constructed anymore, maybe. So I think that's where regulation is, of course, very important, and that's where we need, like especially in Europe. I look here because some of the European of Creative Europe is here in the European Commission, and maybe some people from the Parliament. We need you, because I think this is really very important for the future years, that we get these regulations in a way where we can actually apply them, and they work with these systems without breaking the systems, because I think these new AI possibilities are really important, because that's where the world is going anywhere. But of course, I do hope in a way that the attractivity of getting together, and I'm actually quite happy that we are all here physically today, because I think this is a proof in a way that it's not, we could have done it digital, I mean on screen and not being here, but I think it's a very different exchange that we have physically. So, well, I hope that somehow both worlds can coexist, but maybe I'm already too old to embrace the new system, so I don't know.
Thank you. And I think with that we're coming towards the end of this session. So thank you to everyone who joined us online. Again, this will be made available on the Digital EU channel and Futurium if you missed something or you want to re-watch it. Or you want to spread the word. So I think we can kind of summarize the day. Thank you so much to the panelists and for presenting your projects. Thank you to Lucia for her keynote on Creative Europe. I think we can summarize it by saying all of you mentioned how the public funding and the Creative Europe funding, it's very important for experimentation and for doing more than what you would normally do. So that's one key takeaway for me. I think we are also seeing this with the metaverse and the virtual worlds. There are different types of building blocks. It's not just, you know, a virtual reality headset or augmented reality headset. It is, you need all of these different building blocks, and I think it's very fascinating how you had to deal with crypto when you're building a virtual space, and that is something that we need to keep in mind, I think, as policymakers. Then there is the point that you said now, Benjamin, that it is important to build a safe space, and what I am hearing is that there we as policymakers, I feel like you do have trust in us from what you've said so far, but that is an important thing that we need to work on, to create a safe space, especially with the type of sensitive data that when it comes to XR, so extended reality devices, that they do track your eyes, they do measure the size of your pupils. So we do need to create a safe space for Benjamin's children and all other children. And to do that, we need this interplay between policymakers and between industry, and do things like we're doing right now. So thank you very much to the panelists. Thank you to everyone who joined online. Remember to join the next session on digital accessibility. Thank you very much.